Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Authentic Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Ruthie Gray, and today we're talking about saying yes to too many things and what you can do to achieve your big goal or goals for the year and how to protect your time. So this episode is taken from a training I did inside my mentorship. So if you have a goal or a dream that you want to achieve, you're going to hear about some tools that I use for organization and for breaking down my goals, how to organize and build your email list and produce engaging content through various channels, how to break down your goals into smaller, more attainable goals. Since it's June, half the year has gone, but that doesn't mean that we have lost everything. We can still achieve goals for the second half of the year. So if you're struggling right now and it's summer and you're afraid everyone's going to mess up your mojo because the family's home or vacations are going on, I just want to remind you that it is in God's hands. Commit your works to the Lord so that He can establish your ways and the paths you should go in. Leave it with Him. He does plant your desires when you're walking with Him. And then consider the advice I give here. Listen in.
Welcome to Authentic Online Marketing with Ruthie Gray. Growing awareness for your blog, podcast, book, or product involves more than dancing to reels and yelling, "Buy my thing." This show models quality over clamor so you can put your spin on your message and market in a way that feels authentic to you, because nobody wants to sound like an infomercial. And now, here's your host, Ruthie Gray.
Get your SEO in order for your blogs because Google is the largest search engine. And it's important to be able to have those keywords and be searchable and findable. But YouTube is the second largest search engine. And it's easy to repurpose podcasts onto YouTube and even shorts from your reels and things like that. Do video. If you have been hesitant to do video, start doing video because that is the way of the future. It just is. And once people see you and hear you and they can see your mannerisms, there is a level of trust there that goes even deeper once they can see you. So believe in yourself enough to be consistent and get a scheduler. When I say scheduler, yes, I mean a scheduler for your posting and things like that. But I also mean map out your year. And I want to show you this because it's my Cultivate Power Sheets Goal Planner. So you want to map out your year roughly. At the beginning of the year, I map it out. There's a place for 10 goals. I don't always do 10. Sometimes I do 8. Sometimes I do 5. But you want to map out your year, and then you want to map out your quarters, and then you want to map out your months. And then what you want to do is look back at each one, because if you can take an assessment, you really need to take time to assess what you're doing before speeding ahead. It's easy to speed ahead and barrel ahead because you're afraid you're losing time, but really you're going to lose time if you don't take assessment of what you're doing. That's the first thing, is a yearly planner. And then something I did this year was Krista Hutchins' Build a Better Year at the beginning of the year. And she has a thing called a strategy 6-pack in here. And she says that content, marketing, financial, and administration areas are the 4 biggest areas you should focus on. This was just a tool that I used. She's got free tools as well. But if you can find something that can really help you with your goals for each of those areas, and then you narrow it down to quarters, then you can see where you're going. Like, for instance, my big goal, y'all know, is to write a book in 2022. But my quarter, Q1, left 0 time for writing that book. And that's because I said yes to too many things. The one big yes that I knew I was going to say yes to was AOMS. That's a given. It always happens in January. Whether it happens any other time of the year, it's going to happen in January. Well, that took a lot more of my time than I expected it to, but it was fine. But the other thing I did was I said yes to several speaking opportunities. And next year in Q1, you guys can't hold me to it. I'm not going to say yes to any speaking opportunities because I was just way over the top. My tail was catching up with the front of me. It was just too much. And so I didn't get any writing done. But what I did do was I had a goal to work through a self-publishing course. And it was a master class. And so I had a date with myself every Friday, and it was just 1 hour. And sometimes it wasn't even every Friday. Sometimes it was every other Friday. And at least I got through that. So when I looked back at Q1, I was able to say, hey, I didn't write the book. I did free write a little bit, which I can insert snippets in the book, but I did do the overarching how to self-publish masterclass, and that was important. So for Q2, it's get all the rough draft done. So now I know what I'm saying yes to, what I'm saying no to, for sure. It is clear. And then the third tool I want to suggest is this is put out by Krista Hutchins. I think I gave this to my AOMS people this year. And I thoroughly believe in this line a day journal. And it just has months. And so like for the 9th, it has January, February, March, April, May, just all on the same page. And I just write a line. Oftentimes I squish a lot in there. But what I like about it is that at least I am journaling. This is my 4th year doing this. And I can see back seasons and patterns and what I was doing at this time last year and what I said I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do again at that season. It's good to be able to look back, and it's also good to be able to celebrate your wins. Okay. Weekly wins is something that I do a lot. What I've started doing for my weekly list is putting it in like April 3rd week is a bullet point in my iPhone notes, everything that needs to get done. And what I love is once I get done, all I have to do is click on that and it goes to the bottom. And by the end of the week, I've got this whole line of checked things that I did. And I can look, and to me, that's my weekly wins. I have covered ground. And if you can see that you've covered ground, it's a huge deal. It also helps with your mindset. So back to promoting the content, build an email list yesterday, which all of you do. Don't think too hard about what to give. And if what you're giving for your lead magnet isn't working, then don't redo it just yet. Try renaming it, or try reformatting, or try a new mock-up picture of it. Don't completely redo it. It might just be the name that is the turnoff. Maybe you need a more catchy name. Try not to go back to the mattresses right off the bat. Then just remember that you need quick, consumable content that solves a pain point right away. And then lastly, on this point, marketing is about showing and not telling. Stop yelling, buy my thing, and build relationships. Do it, always leaving a call to action and dropping those breadcrumbs like I always say. You must have a call to action. Don't just say, Fridays in the park is my mojo, period, end of story. Like you want to say something like, what do you do on Fridays? What are you looking forward to this weekend? Or drop an emoji if you love to swing, even at your age now, something like that. Because if you're dropping the breadcrumbs, then when you have the big ask about hit my link in bio, then they're going to be used to taking action, and they will. Trust me. It might take years, but you'll get there. To help you achieve the goals that you need to achieve for the second half of the year, map it out, map it into the remaining quarters. This is what I always do because if I don't, time gets away from me. Map out your year, your quarters, and your months. Then assess your progress periodically, ideally every month. Set your goals at the beginning of the month, like revisit them and then assess them at the end, and then go with the next month and do it again. And then celebrate your accomplishments. Do weekly wins. Even 3, just 3 will help boost your frame of mind. Number 2, focus on building relationships with potential customers. Marketing is more about demonstrating the product and the service rather than simply talking about it. So if you are not achieving your marketing goals or your driving traffic goals, which I consider marketing also driving traffic to a podcast or even something free, like a free resource, like your email list and your freebie, your opt-in, provide some value instead of just talking about that all the time. But then always include a call to action. Leave the breadcrumbs, ask a question, invite response so that when you have the big ask, they will click over to your website or your link. Number 3, consistency is key. If you have a scheduler or use a scheduler for your social media, especially, I think that is key to getting your content out there. If you sit down on Friday and map out the week, that's a start. It keeps you on track. Because I took the time to evaluate my Q1, because I knew my big goal for 2023 was to write a book, Q2 did not get away from me. I sat down and determined what I was going to say yes to and what I was going to say no to. And oftentimes, that's our problem. We won't determine what we're going to say, especially no to. So when Q2 came, I knew that I had my head down and I was going to write my rough draft, do or die. I was going to say no to any opportunities, no podcast guesting, no special speaking opportunities, no writing submissions. And believe me, I was hit with the opportunities almost immediately. Some of them were delicious opportunities, but I felt freedom in saying no because I had determined that's what I needed to do. And if you don't say no to a lot of things, you will not have time for your best yes, for the thing that you really want to accomplish. If this episode has been helpful, would you pop over to Instagram and let me know? Screenshot the episode and tag me. Let me know you were helped through this episode and that you're going to start working in the second half of this year to achieve at least one goal. I'd love to know how this episode has helped you. Will you do that for us? Thank you so much for listening in. I just want to remind you that we have slowed down the podcast, at least for the summer months. We are back and we are delivering 2 episodes a month. And so the next time that you will hear a fresh episode will be in July. If you haven't caught our last episode, June the 5th was our podcast anniversary episode, and we shared our 5 most downloaded episodes for the year. So you'll want to flip back and listen to that too. Thanks again for joining us here at Authentic Online Marketing. If you ever wonder what our services are, just go to the website, AuthenticOnlineMarketing.com, and you'll find everything there. And don't forget to tap into the show notes for the resources we named here. Specifically, I named the Cultivate Journal and Krista Hutchins' resources, especially her Line a Day journal. But I will include her website so that you can see all that she offers. She's a project manager, so the woman knows how to get stuff done, but she also knows how to say no to things so that she can say her best yes. She's a great resource. And she's also got a wonderful podcast called Just One Simple Thing. You'll want to subscribe. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time in July, be sure to share your message your way in your own authentic voice.